In this video, my group and I will try to summarize our findings on the following subjects: biopower, having power over a large amount of bodies; facial recognition, a way of determining a person's identity with the use of technology; and lastly, stem cells, which are scientifically developed cells used for repairing damaged cells. All of these processes are becoming used and more frequently, and as their enhancement progresses, it will affect all of us socially if it hasn't already. This is because it directly alters how we and future generations will function in society. My group members and I picked a specific topic out of the three listed and focused on facts, while using sociological perspectives, then comparing and contrasting them to different countries' issues.
Biopower is a social theory by Michel Foucault. Foucault wanted to understand what power really meant, and so, looking back at leaders and people in positions of power, he developed his theory of biopower. He found that power was rooted in the ability to control large groups of people. This power is not always executed in a way that is clearly visible, like a police force. One very important part of biopower is controlling the norms of society. When something is outside of normal for the society, people will be far less likely to do it. For example, the national standards for what is taught in schools have the power to shape the view of normal for everyone in that country. This will have an effect on what policies they support and who they vote for later in life. Another example of biopower is the former one-child policy in China. The policy created immense pressure on parents to have a son, as in Chinese culture, a son carries an obligation to support their parents in old age, and they would carry on the family name. While this policy ended in 2015, it was in effect for 36 years, and even today, there are 116 boys for every 100 girls. Whereas in America, there are 105 boys for every 100 girls. By instituting this policy, the Chinese government had power over how many children people had and the overall gender composition of their country.
Stem cells are a groundbreaking scientific advancement. They possess the capability that allows them to develop into many other cell types. They are a fairly new development, only being first discovered in 1963 and only stem cell therapy being done in 1983. They are groundbreaking in medical procedures that include correcting erectile dysfunction, repairing damaged tissue, heart disease, and treating cancer. They have also been used for biotechnology, meaning the discovery of drugs and the development of new stem cell therapies and medical procedures. If we put this in comparison to China, stem cells are used very frequently there. They have several stem cell advancements, meaning in cell reprogramming, stem cell homeostasis, and gene modification. They also have around 100 stem cell banks, and currently in the China society, they have around 10 stem cell drugs in the approval process, soon coming to the public. In some cases, stem cells are going to be used to treat patients with low immune systems or bone marrow dysfunction. They call this HSCT, which is basically stands for stem cell hematopoietic transplant. But with these transplants conducted in one of these studies led to the decrease in a person's sexual function. They conducted 14 different studies, all being mixed genders, and within these genders, each one experienced a decrease in the psychosexual function. Around 45% of males and 33% of females experienced a decline in sexual life, and 31% of all applicants experienced a decrease in pleasure. So even though these stem cells did help cure a part in these patients' lives, it did affect them drastically in another part. There are some ethical issues in regards to stem cell research and how stem cells are conducted. For a big part of this is pro-life use. I'm pro people who feel as though pro-life is their passion, just because it requires the destruction in some sorts of an embryo, or that some of these stem cells are taken from aborted fetuses. But we do propose policy recommendations that do appeal to both sides of the debate. We propose a theory that will, one, provide ethical groundbreaking research, so that way those who are in the field can continue to do that, but also we propose that they do this in a way that doesn't technically harm or destroy embryos.
Deep learning is the foundation for facial recognition. It's machine learning used to identify various aspects of images through training, which occurs through exposure to numerous images. Its ability to assess diverse information depends on how diverse the data it was trained on was. In a study comparing human ability and the deep neural network's ability to identify sexual orientation, humans could judge a male's orientation with 61% accuracy and 54% for women. The deep neural network could determine orientation for males with 81% accuracy and 71% for women. This computer accuracy for determining sexual orientation could be dangerous because, in many societies, homosexuals are ostracized and punished. In a different study assessing the AI's ability to identify gender, 8 models were developed. 7 were trained with distinct limited datasets, while the last used diverse collections from all the other datasets to be trained with. The more diverse model outperformed the others in determining one's gender at 87% accurate, and the others ranged from 74% to 82% accurate. Thus, it is crucial for AIs to be trained with diverse information in order to be properly prepared for real-world situations. On average, these models struggled more when identifying a woman's gender because 6 of the 8 models were less accurate for women than men. The models can only determine those identifying as male or female, and was unable to comprehend non-binary identities or the fact that identities are distinct from physical appearance. In application, women or non-binary individuals would face the hardships of being misrepresented or unable to be identified at all in various situations such as criminal identification or security access.
Throughout this video, my group gave detailed information about their specific topics and how these topics play in every civilization. Each topic also has positives and negatives. For example, how facial recognition can be taken advantage of by big corporations for tracking people for minor reasons or illegal use. Lastly, I would like to discuss logical and doable policy recommendations that can be used to control these topics in the United States, so we can make it less invasive. For Biopower, my group and I believe there should be a rule that it should only be used for information that can benefit people. I say this because Biopower is a subject that controls and tracks a country. Use of this should not be given to companies for marketing reasons or to persuade people, which infringes on their rights, but instead should be given to authoritative powers such as the president or law enforcement so they can use it to track and notify people of important issues or track things such as the census. Facial recognition should be limited as well. I believe it should be given to law enforcement for tracking criminals. However, I believe that the corporations will be taking advantage of this, so facial recognition should be managed. For example, business and criminals could use facial recognition to stalk others or hack electronics such as webcams in order to watch or analyze people without their knowledge. The last topic has to do with the stem cells, and I believe they should not be as exclusive as the previous topics I named. Stem cells can be the cure to many infections and diseases, and help many lives. This is because stem cells should be available to all, but should be a last resort. We wouldn't want the public to misuse this type of therapy or exhaust a large amount of stem cells.